there is an onion on the cutting board that is weeping for the dish it will become. Its skin is the color of a paper lantern at dusk, thin and brittle as old letters from a grandmother's drawer. The knife is patient, waiting to cut a path through the layers that hold the memory of the soil it grew in. The onion has been resting in this kitchen for 3 weeks. It arrived in a wooden crate from a farm where the winter fog settled so thickly that the onion had to learn to hold light inside itself. It has sat beside potatoes that do not speak, and a head of garlic that hums constantly, a low vibration that the onion has learned to ignore. The onion is not the loudest thing in the kitchen. It is the quietest, but it has something to say. If you press your thumb against the onion's skin, you can feel the paper crinkle beneath your touch. It gives way easily, the way old things do when they are ready to be opened. Beneath the first dry layer, there is a second layer, still pale, still tight with the tension of having grown slowly over a long winter. Each layer is a season. Each layer is a story the onion has been carrying since it first pushed through the cold ground and felt the sun on its face for the first time. The first layer remembers the farmer who planted it. The onion knew the soil temperature by the way the ground settled around its base. It remembers the cold that arrived too early, the way the world went dark before it was ready, and how it had to hold still and wait. The second layer remembers the first rain of the season. A long, slow rain that soaked into the earth and made the onion swell with a sweetness it did not yet understand. It remembers the worm that touched its side and then moved on, the beetle that crawled across its shoulder and left a tiny scar that is still there, somewhere on the skin, invisible now, but present in the memory. Archaeologists have found traces of 10,000-year-old meals still clinging to the inside of unwashed clay pots. The lipid residues, they say, carried the signature of wild boar and millet, preserved by the very hands that had stirred them. If a pot can remember, an onion can too. Its volatile compounds are chemical ribbons that bind to fat and heat and time, carrying the signature of every sun and every soil it touched. The onion does not just grow, it archives. If an onion can archive the memory of a single beetle crossing its shoulder, imagine what a kitchen full of seasoned pots holds. To carry these stories with you is to belong to a lineage of quiet keepers. If you feel called to be one of them, subscribe so you do not miss the next time a humble thing unfolds its layers here. And tell me, have you ever peeled an onion and paused, sensing something in the scent you could not name? Leave the word archivist in the comments if you know the feeling. The third layer is the most tender. It remembers being picked. The knife that severed it from the root was not sharp. The cut was not clean. The onion felt a pull, a tear, a small rip in the fabric of its being. And then the world changed. It was lifted out of the dark and placed into a crate with other onions, each one quiet with its own story, each one waiting for the same thing, to be turned into something else. There is a folk belief in the kitchens of Nagasaki that a seasoned pot holds the soul of every broth ever cooked within it. Some say the pot remembers the hands that stirred, the voice that hummed, the tears that fell and were stirred back into the simmer. The onion is no different. It carries the memory of the farmer who harvested it, the ache in their back, the smile they gave when they saw the bulbs were full and sweet. It carries the memory of the truck ride to the market, the cold air rushing past, the sound of crates settling against each other in the dark. The light in the kitchen is low. A single candle flickers on the windowsill, casting shadows that move like slow dancers across the wooden counter. The knife catches the light and throws it back in a thin line of silver. The onion waits. It does not fear the blade. It fears only that its story will not be tasted. The onion weeps not for the cut that is coming. It weeps for the dish it will become. A dish it will never taste. A dish that will be eaten by hands it will never know. The tears are not grief. They are a release of lacrimatory factor synthase, a sulfurous compound that rises into the air and meets the moisture of human eyes. The onion is not crying. It is giving away its memory, molecule by molecule, so that someone else can feel what it felt in the soil, in the sun, in the cold, in the long dark of the crate. There is a chef in Kyoto who has not washed his nabe in 40 years. He insists the seasoning holds the soul of every broth ever cooked within it. The crust on the inside of his pot is dark and glossy, the color of aged wood, and it smells of 100 winters of miso and ginger, and the quiet perseverance of a man who has been stirring the same soup since before most of us were born. Sensory chemistry research has confirmed that lipid polymerization creates a non-stick surface that deepens with use. The pot becomes better with memory. The onion does too. We're halfway through this onion, and you have already tasted twilight and laughter. This is not a video you watch alone. It is a story you sit with, and the telling deepens when you speak back. Subscribe to stay in this kitchen, where seasoned pots and patient knives hold space for what is slow and sacred. And if you have ever eaten something that made your throat ache for no reason, tell me in the comments what dish it was and where you were when you tasted it. The fourth layer of the onion is the one that holds the memory of the soil's mineral content. The farmer whose fields are fed by river silt grows onions with a sharper bite, a more aggressive sweetness that sits on the tongue like a question. The onion on this cutting board came from a farm by the sea. The salt spray influenced its chemistry over generations, a subtle salinity that will not announce itself until the first bite. The onion remembers the ocean breeze even though it has never seen the shore. The fifth layer is quiet. It holds the memory of the day the farmer's daughter came to the field after school, her hands small and warm, picking the onions that had pushed their shoulders above the soil early. She pulled at this very onion, startled by how firmly it held on. The onion felt her surprise, her laughter, the way she said, "You're a stubborn one," before giving up and leaving it in the ground for 2 more weeks of growth. That laughter is still in the layer somewhere, thinned by time, but not erased. The fifth layer remembers another moment too. It was twilight, and the farmer had been working since before dawn. He stopped at the edge of the onion patch, wiped his forehead with the back of his hand, and stood still. The onion felt the farmer's gaze pass over it, not as a meal, not as a crop, but as a single living thing in a field of living things. The farmer did not speak aloud, but the onion felt the weight of his hope. Please grow well, the farmer was thinking. Please be good. The knife moves toward the onion. The blade is sharp, freshly honed, and it meets the skin with a sound like tearing paper. The first layer cracks open, and the onion releases a burst of volatile compounds into the air. A cloud of memory that fills the kitchen. The scent is sharp, green, almost painful with brightness. It is the smell of soil after rain. It is the smell of the farmer's hands. It is the smell of the daughter's laughter and the twilight stillness. The onion is giving itself away. If you have ever peeled an onion and felt your eyes sting, you know the ache of wanting to hold on to something that is leaving you. The onion does not want to leave you. It wants you to carry its memory forward. The tears on your cheeks are not from sadness. They are the onion's invitation. It is saying, remember me. I was here. I knew the soil and the sun and the cold and the stillness. Now you know them too. Japanese kazushi tradition treats seasoned cast iron as a living thing. The patina is proof of a vessel's history, not neglect.
A quiet Tuesday.
Published family recipes from Nagasaki describe pots passed down through generations without ever meeting detergent. Recipe books are not books at all. They are the pots themselves, their seasoning holding every dinner, every celebration, every quiet meal eaten alone in grief. The onion is no different. Its layers are its recipe book. The knife is the page turn. When the knife cuts through the onion, it does not destroy the memory. It releases it. The layers fall away. The farmer, the soil, the salt spray, the daughter's laughter, the twilight stillness, and each layer lands on the cutting board. A pale crescent of history. The onion is not dying. It is being read aloud. The pot that will hold it is waiting on the stove. Its own seasoning dark with old soups and stews. The pot is patient. It has held meals for 40 years. It will hold this one too. The onion weeps for the dish it will become, but the weeping is not for itself. It is for the eater, the one who will taste the soup and feel a strange ache in the throat, the one who will pause mid-bite and wonder why this simple dish tastes like something they cannot name. That is the onion's gift. It has stored the sunlight and the rain and the farmer's hope in layers of volatile chemistry. And when you taste it, you taste all of it. Even if you do not know what you are tasting. The knife pauses. The candle flickers. The onion lies open on the cutting board. Its layers spread like pages of a half-read book. The steam from the pot is beginning to rise, white and fragrant, carrying the first notes of what the onion is about to become. The pot knows something the onion does not yet understand. The onion's tears have already reached the eyes of the cook, who is standing at the counter, imagining the dish, imagining the warmth of the broth, imagining the quiet happiness of someone tasting it. The onion's final layer is the thinnest, the most translucent, the one that clings to the cutting board like a whisper. It is the memory of the future, the dish that the onion will become, the taste it will have, the hands that will lift the spoon, The onion remembers this future because it has always been part of its purpose. It was born to become a meal. It was planted to be tasted. The weeping was never about loss. It was about transformation. This is the turning point of every meal you have ever touched. The onion has already released itself into the broth. The only question left is whether you will let the moment end here, or whether you will carry the practice of noticing into the world beyond this kitchen. Subscribe so that when the next humble thing asks to be read aloud, you are here to witness it. And before you go, leave one word in the comments. The name of the person whose hands you still carry in your cooking. A grandmother, a gardener, a friend. The onion taught us that nothing beautiful is ever truly lost. It simply waits for someone to taste it. The onion settled into the pot, its layers dissolving into the broth, its volatile compounds marrying the fat of the stock and the salt of the soy and the warmth of the ginger. It did not resist. It let go of every layer, every memory, every season of soil and sun. The pot held it. The steam carried it upward. And if you ever peel an onion and feel your eyes sting, do not wipe the tears away too quickly. Pause. Let them gather on your cheeks. The onion is not crying. It is telling you where it was born. It is telling you the farmer's hope. It is telling you the twilight silence. And if you taste the dish and feel a strange warmth in your chest, that warmth is the onion's final gift. Not sorrow, but the quiet knowledge that nothing beautiful is ever truly lost. It simply becomes something else to be tasted. The pot simmered. The steam rose. The candle burned low. And somewhere in the kitchen, in the soft hiss of broth meeting air, the onion's memory found a new home. Not in the soil, not in the field, not in the crate, in the quiet, sacred act of being eaten by someone who needed its warmth tonight.